Hey y'all, I'm Hope, and today I'm pretty excited to be talking about this project that I really want to try, which is reading all of the sci-fi and fantasy nominees for the Goodreads Choice Awards this year. There are 40 of them, so it is a big undertaking, especially for me because I've currently read 45 books in 2021 so far. I read 63 last year, so that is a pretty large chunk of the books that I read typically in a year. But I am really excited to give it a shot, and hopefully will, through this project, get a better sense of the things that I enjoy and don't enjoy in fantasy and sci-fi. But this video is very much inspired by Kayla from Books and Lala, who does a video every year reading the top 10 thriller or horror books from the Goodreads Choice Awards. And it's also inspired by Mara from Books Like Whoa, who this year did a thing called Project Sci-Fi, where I believe she read all of last year's sci-fi nominees as a way of getting a sense of what she liked in the genre and didn't like. So this is very inspired by both of them. They're some of my favorite channels. I really enjoy their videos, and I will link them down in the description below so you can check them out if you haven't already. Highly, highly recommend. But kind of being inspired by that, and also having had a conversation with a friend of mine who, she hasn't seen those videos. She's not a BookTube watcher the way I am, but she was talking to me a couple of days ago, and she was like, oh hey, you own a ton of these fantasy nominees, why don't you just read all the nominees? And that's kind of where this grew out of. So, I figure it's worth a shot. I think it sounds like it'll be fun. So that's what we're doing here. So let's take a look at the nominees, and I'll talk a little bit about the ones that I already own and kind of how I'm planning to structure these videos going forward. So I've got science fiction pulled up, so we'll just start there. I don't own a lot of these. Science fiction is a very, very new genre for me. I've just started reading science fiction in the last year and a half, 2 years. So I've read very little of it. But I do own A Desolation Called Peace. This is actually one of my most anticipated books of the year, and it's ridiculous that I haven't read it yet. But I own that one. I have Light from Uncommon Stars. I own Winter's Orbit. I own the first Murderbot book, but not this one. And I own Firebreak by Nicole Cornerstace. So I own very few of these, but that's kind of why I want to do this, is I want to read all of these and get a sense of kind of what the subgenres are and what things I'm interested in and what things I'm not. So for the videos that I'm planning, what I've done is I have created a table for myself in Notion where I have broken down all of these books into kind of thematic groups, thematic categories of 2 or 3 books, and I'm gonna do a series of shorter videos where I read a thematic group of books. And I did that because I think that, for one, shorter videos are, for me, more interesting to make. I think they're more interesting to watch for other people. People don't really watch all the way through my videos anyway. I've got this little tiny channel, so I don't want to be putting out a series of massively long videos that nobody's going to be interested in, basically, is kind of part of it. The other reason for it is that I think it's going to be more sustainable for me, because I am really bad at sticking to a list and remembering to film over the long term if I'm doing a really long term video. So I think that breaking this up into little chunks is going to make it more manageable. So there's a couple of cli-fi novels here, I'll probably read those together. There's a couple of different books about cloning, there's some books about VR, so those are kind of the categories that I'm going to be breaking it down into. And then I'm planning to do the same thing for fantasy, but I own a lot more of the fantasy nominees. I already own She Who Became the Sun, I own The Wolf and the Woodsman, I own The Unbroken, Ariadne, A Court of Silver Flames. I've ordered Shadow of the Gods. I'm actually waiting for that to come in at my local bookstore, so hopefully soon. I own The Jasmine Throne. I own For the Wolf. I think that's it. So I own almost half of the nominees in this category. So I will probably tackle these a little bit faster, because in sci-fi I'm going to have to get more of them from my library. But I am very excited about all of these, and I'm really interested to see what I end up thinking of the ones that I don't already own. The one thing with fantasy is that there's quite a few books here that are actually sequels to other series, or to other books that are pretty far into a series. This one's a sequel, The Book of Magic. Crown of Gilded Bones is the 3rd book in a series. Of course, Silver Flames is the 4th book in a series, but I've actually already read the rest of them, so that doesn't matter. The Last Graduate's a sequel. Master of Jin is also a sequel, technically, if you read all of the short stories and novellas first, which I have already done, so that's fine. But for a few of these, The Hidden Palace is also one. For a few of these, the video is probably going to be me reading and talking about a series as a whole. So the entirety of the Skullament series, the entirety of the Blood and Ash series, things like that. But that is the general gist of my plans thus far. And yeah, I'm really excited to get started on this, actually. I think I've already started one of the sci-fi books, so we will be starting this project later today, probably. Yeah, I'm just really excited. I think this is going to be a massive undertaking, but it's also going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be really interesting to see what Goodreads thinks is the best books, or are the best books of the year, and I think it'll be interesting to see kind of how my opinion lines up with the fact that they've been nominated. So yeah, I think this is going to be a lot of fun, and I hope that you will join me for this journey. I would definitely love to know down in the comments if you have any thoughts or opinions on this idea, or on which books I should pick up first, if there's specific things you think I should kind of focus in on to begin with. So I would definitely love to know that. Let me know down in the comments. If I haven't already said this, I think I already have, but if I haven't already said this, I'm going to link Kayla and Mara's channels down in the description as well, and you should definitely check them out if you haven't already. I sincerely doubt that you haven't already, because my channel is tiny, but I'm going to put them in the description anyway, and I cannot more highly recommend either of their channels. So yeah, that is all I have for you today. Thanks for joining me for this very quick, probably very talkative announcement, and I hope that you will join me for this journey going forward. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!